Schools all across the US are starting to close, and this is because of COVID. A lot of them have started transferring to online learning spaces and trying to learn on the go. And because of that, a lot of deaf students have started to fall behind and started to accept that reality that they're falling behind. But we want to encourage full access and better learning for deaf students. If you're deaf or hard of hearing and you're going to school and the school sends out information and you're not understanding it or it's going past you, that shouldn't be happening. There should be full and equal access. We're hoping this information that we provide can help support for you and your family during the situation. There's a lot of different areas such as technology, specialized education, social development, supporting services, information provisions, and other things that you can do. So the first thing, technology. It's important because, you need computers with COVID to learn. So with touchscreens, laptops, we want to make sure that everyone has equal education. And there are some families that don't have that or can't afford it. So the schools should be taking on the responsibility of making sure you have everything you need. Or if you don't, you should be able to connect to different programs that have some resources that you can use for your family to get support. There's also a specialized education, and there are two different forms of this. There's one where it's sort of a Zoom class where everyone's looking at a teacher telling their stories or explaining things. And then the next is that not simultaneous, which means that everyone is sort of doing a live activity and then sending their information to the teacher to grade and review. So you kind of go back and forth with the teacher on that one, not at the same time. And the other one, same time is just sort of like a live feed. So if it's simultaneous and you're you're feeling like you don't have an interpreter or captions or some kind of chat or some kind of live listening service, uh, there are a lot of programs that'll help place an interpreter in that class that can see and understand everything. And if they can't find an interpreter, make sure that they have a qualified state representative to help you understand better. Make sure that the screen for the teacher is also large enough because that could help as well. They should also have captions uh, that can apply to the classroom. If they don't have captions, that's fine. There's a lot of companies that will help provide some. And there are auto captions, but those aren't always proper for education. And sometimes listening devices also help. They can help with certain situations in education. Uh, so if it's successful, then that's great. Sometimes you might need to adjust it or add a little bit more in the education program. So if your education program is not simultaneous, it's if they have like a film that they need you to watch and they don't have captions, then there should be interpreters or something that can help give you access to that. Another important thing to note is that uh, sometimes you see situations where hearing students get treated first before deaf students, and that's not really right. It should be, equal. There's a lot of families that see their child that's still struggling with education, and they need more access or need more support. They need to add an interpreter or captions. You can ask the school to add those things because right now in the situation, if they're not adding those, it can be a detriment to your child's education. Education is important to learning, but it's also important to socialize for your child. So a deaf or hard of hearing student now, if they don't have any school and everything's distant, the question is how do you interact with other students? It's tough. You can reach out to your school and ask if there's any opportunities for deaf students to interact with each other or deaf students to interact with each other on the internet. There's a lot of different organizations that can also help support this. Uh, and some of them have internet events that you can go and check out and get your kid involved in activities and socialization. So if you go to a state school for the deaf, a lot of times they have a lot of ideas as well as to how you can get your child to interact with people. Uh, there are also things like traveling teachers, speech therapists, education agencies. There are a lot of different things that students usually have that they can still go to different events and your child can grab time with them and try to, get a better grasp on education. There are a lot of schools that are providing information to families and parents, and make sure that that access to information is equal. Make sure that there's captions or interpreters in all things, just that way everyone's satisfied. If there's a student that's not feeling very successful with their education, whether it's simultaneous or non-simultaneous, it can be really frustrating. So there are some ideas out there as to how you can progress and try to improve the situation. And if one idea doesn't work, just keep trying the next and the next and the next, and eventually it may be something that helps resolve the issues that you're having. You can also contact child teachers um, and tell them that, I feel like my child is struggling to learn, and how do I add support or services for my child. You can also contact school support staff, and they a lot of times are responsible for adding interpreters or finding caption companies, as well as you know, offering support services. And a lot of times they're happy to discuss those and try to resolve the situation. And if they can't, then contact the principal or the president of the school. Let them know that you feel like just ask them if they don't mind meeting because you don't feel like their child is progressing and that they're falling behind a little bit, and try to discuss ideas that can help resolve the situation. If not, if that doesn't work out, you have the right to request a parent-teacher meeting. It doesn't have to be right in the future. It can actually be as soon as you wish, just to try and discuss changes to the services or the classroom. Or you can also take a 504 plan meeting, and you can rush that as well. And that can always make it, if you feel like education is not making a difference, you can change up course load and education programs. You can also use a parent advocacy app, which is free, and it'll help you plan those types of meetings. And if those meetings aren't successful, you can always ask for the ADA to, if you contact them directly and let them know about the school, and they say and tell them that you need more support for your child. A lot of times, if your school's not willing to add captions or interpreters, the ADA can sometimes help with that. So you can ask the ADA, and they will willing to assist with you. If that doesn't work, you can always file a complaint with the U.S. Department of Education or the U.S. Department of Justice. But you can also contact a lawyer and file a lawsuit to, but always make sure that you're trying to contact the school first before you do that. So here's a list of resources down below on our website, and you can grab use of that just to try and provide opportunities or design ways to support your child. So you can use that information to support your child or your family.